Frank Sinatra is remembered for the velvet voice, the swaggering Rat Pack nights, and a kind of star power that still feels made for neon. But Sinatra's legend has always come with a separate lane of Hollywood talk, the sort of backstage whisper that survives because it is shocking, funny, and a little bit taboo. For decades, people have traded a very specific rumor about Sinatra's anatomy, treating it like trivia that proves he was larger than life, even off stage. In late 2025, that old rumor surged back into the spotlight when Paul Anka, the hitmaker behind the English lyrics to My Way, was asked point blank if the gossip was true. Anka answered with a laugh, a blunt confirmation, and a few details that made the story feel less like fantasy and more like firsthand memory, which is exactly why today's video is all about Paul Anka confirming the dirty rumors about Frank Sinatra. The question that wouldn't go away.
When you wrote the song My Way for Frank Sinatra, he should have blown you. I mean, that was some song.
That was a great song.
That was low on my list of what I wanted from Frank Sinatra.
I did it.
Paul Anka's comments arrived during press for the HBO Max documentary Paul Anka, His Way, a career-spanning look at his life that naturally brings Sinatra into the conversation. Interviewers leaned into the headline-friendly side of Sinatra's mythology and asked Anka directly about the long-running rumor that Sinatra was unusually well-endowed. Anka did not hedge. Yeah, it was huge, he said, then immediately laughed and added, I don't know what that does for you. It sounded like a quick wisecrack, but it also landed as a clear confirmation from someone who knew Sinatra personally. That is why the clip traveled. Plenty of stars get linked to rumors, but close friends rarely answer so plainly on the record. Anka's tone suggested he found the obsession silly, yet he still chose the simplest possible answer. It also shows how a rumor survives. It does not need fresh proof every year. It just needs a new moment when someone famous gets asked and gives the story another lap around pop culture. Vegas saunas and Rat Pack reality.
By the way, I loved in the documentary you said you were in the sauna with the Rat Pack.
That's
and
right.
you didn't know where to look. I mean,
So I said I had trouble with eye contact.
Anka's confidence came with a detail that made the story feel less like hearsay. He said he spent time with Sinatra and other Rat Pack figures in Las Vegas, and that they would often take saunas together, the kind of offstage hangout where nobody is trying to perform. That setting matters because it's intimate in the least glamorous way. It's not a nightclub with cameras flashing. It's a small, steamy room where you're just human, which makes Anka's answer feel like something based on observation, not imagination. The Vegas years were also an incubator for myth. Fans wanted to believe the party never ended, and the Rat Pack encouraged that idea with wink-wink confidence and public camaraderie. A physical rumor fits that fantasy neatly because it turns Sinatra into a character who is unstoppable even in private. And that is the fuel. When the setting is already mythic, even ordinary routines get treated like secret chapters of a legend. A sauna anecdote becomes folklore, and folklore spreads faster than facts. Milton Berle and the Celebrity Scoreboard.
is it true about Sinatra?
What part? Yes, it was huge. Well, I don't know what that does for you, but
It just makes me happy hearing that.
compared to Milton Berle, no.
Oh, well, I know that. I've heard stories like
Phenomenal. Crazy. Milton Berle of all people.
Anka added a twist that made the whole rumor feel like a comedy beat rather than a scandal. He insisted Sinatra was not even the biggest story in town and pointed to another entertainer as the true outlier. Crazy of all people, he said, Milton Berle. The Berle comparison taps into something old school show business has always loved, the unofficial scoreboard. Who owned the room? Who told the dirtiest joke? Who had the loudest legend attached to their name? These tales are less about biology and more about status. Once a rumor becomes a status symbol, it keeps circulating because people enjoy retelling it. It's a way to signal you know the lore and that you're in on the backstage story, even if you never met the person. It also explains why the rumor clings to Sinatra specifically. Sinatra's public image was built around confidence, romance, and command, so the story becomes another exaggerated detail people use to decorate the same larger myth. what partners and biographers have claimed.
Did you find out if that, I don't know if it's true or not, that quote about Frank Sinatra and his attributes was true or not?
I can't personally vouch for that. I think, I choose to, I think we got to choose to believe what we want.
Long before Anka, other names were used to keep the rumor alive. Reports have circulated for years that Sinatra's second wife, Ava Gardner, made remarks that implied she found him physically impressive. Whether those were playful, pointed, or distorted by retelling, they became gossip currency the moment they escaped private circles. Biographer James Kaplan has also been cited as saying Sinatra was very well endowed, while suggesting Sinatra could be self-conscious about it. That sounds contradictory until you remember how you can feel exposed by the very thing other people fixate on. A valet's perspective has been folded into the story too. George Jacobs, Sinatra's longtime valet, wrote a memoir titled Mr. S., and his account has been referenced as describing practical measures Sinatra took to keep everything comfortably in place. Mundane details like that are exactly what makes celebrity gossip feel oddly believable. Kaplan's broader portrait of Sinatra leans into insecurity about scars, childhood medical issues, and appearance. In that framing, the famous rumor stops being a victory story and starts reading like one more strange burden attached to a body that Hollywood insisted on evaluating. How My Way put Paul Anka in the crosshairs. Anka's connection to Sinatra is not just friendship, it's a piece of pop history. While traveling in France, Anka heard the song Comme d'habitude, bought the rights, kept the melody, and wrote new English lyrics. He did it with Sinatra in mind. Sinatra recorded it in 1968, and My Way became one of his defining late career statements. Anka has described hearing Sinatra sing it for the first time as emotional and surreal. He recalled Sinatra calling him and saying, "Kid, listen to this," then playing the recording over the phone from a Los Angeles studio while Anka listened in New York. "And I started crying," Anka said, explaining he could hear the difference immediately and felt the song would change his life. That story matters here because it shows why reporters kept pressing Anka about Sinatra in the first place. He's not a random commentator, he's tied to a signature Sinatra moment. It also explains why a locker room question ends up sitting beside a songwriting story in the same news cycle. When a documentary invites people to revisit a legend, the culture drags the art and the gossip into the same spotlight, which is how a decades-old rumor suddenly feels brand new. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Paul Anka's comment settles this old Hollywood rumor, or does it prove that celebrity myths only get louder the more we repeat them?